we mustn't lose sight of the fact that there is something called resilience. The resilience is something that can be learned by our children, and that's what Nurture Group Network, in my view, is very, very strong on, in terms of actually promoting that notion that we can actually teach children to be more resilient. Nurture Group Network ensures, in my view, that the children I work with and the children out there in our so-called mainstream schools, mainstream sector, actually do have access to nurturing interventions as and when they need it. This is an absolute essential in my view. The most disadvantaged children can be given a lifeline, can be given a real chance to develop socially, emotionally, cognitively with this kind of intervention.
So it's the measure that NGN recommends for assessing the social, emotional and behavioural difficulties of children, and really try to identify the children and young people who could really benefit from a nurturing intervention and who have SEBD needs. And the tool is divided into two parts. The first one really measures aspects of cognitive and social emotional development, which can impact how the pupil performs in the classroom. So for example, whether the child is able to follow the instructions from the teachers, like Tina was mentioning, whether the child is able to interact with peers positively, and so on. And the second part of the Boxall Profile is about measuring challenging behaviors, which actually prevent the child from being successful in class and with peers. So you can imagine aggressive children, children who are uncooperative, children who are withdrawn from the classroom, who don't interact with anyone. So the second part, the diagnostic profile, is really measuring these challenging behaviors. And what you need to know is that these two parts are actually very interrelated. So once you start working on the social and emotional skills of the child, try to develop them, you start seeing progress in terms of challenging behaviors. You see reductions in challenging behaviors. For children, for example, you see that 80% of the children we assessed this year have high levels of developmental difficulties. So they're really lacking social, emotional skills that could help them function efficiently in the classroom. So this is for children, but for young people it's actually very, very similar results. So you see 80% again of young people who have developmental difficulties, and 89% who have challenging behaviors. This really shows that the SEBD needs in our sample are really high, and again, this is not to say that this is the case across the whole UK population of pupils, but still this shows that these children and young people would really benefit from nurturing interventions.
NGN recommends that children benefit from an evidence-based nurturing intervention as early as possible, especially during their primary school years. We want to make this recommendation that the Boxall Profile is used in all schools to assess the cognitive, social and emotional development difficulties and the challenging behaviours that inhibit social and academic performance. We want to do this for all children and in all settings. By administering the Boxall in all primary and secondary schools across the UK, it will enable policymakers and governmental departments to be able to make more informed decisions regarding SEBD and SEMH policies and funding decisions. Teachers will be able to tailor teaching, learning and support more relevant to their pupils' needs and difficulties individually and as a class. With this in mind, I'm happy to announce today that NGN is launching our Boxall Childhood Project. Starting in the summer term of 2017, NGN, together with the support of local authorities in Barking and Dagenham in East London and Wigan in the North West, NGN will be undertaking a project involving 60 schools over 4 terms, assessing all pupils via the Boxall Profile and monitoring their progress.
I think 32 years now I've worked with children and young people, and 30 of those have been primarily with children with social, emotional, behavioural difficulties. And I have never come across an intervention that is actually so powerful and so effective at the same time as being so cost effective. And I'm totally passionate about this. I would want to see every school adopting nurturing principles, using the Boxall Profile, assessing children's needs as they enter so that we can get in there earlier. The intervention can be there at the very earliest stages. We know straight away when children have needs and difficulties, when they have not been nurtured. And providing that level of nurture can actually, in my view, save children's lives and make a real difference.